Hey guys, welcome to another one. Welcome to the channel. It is February 14th, 2024, and we are on the channel Earn While We Sleep. So I just want to say, hey, what's up to everybody? Bitcoin's probably, I think it's sitting around like 51.8 right now, 51.8. So just kind of cracked into that new zone, that new barrier. You know, I don't think we've ever been this high before, kind of leading up to any bull run, especially before the halving. So Bitcoin's definitely doing something special. And so this is like really, really bullish. Like literally, like people are not bullish enough. But on the flip side, I do want to talk, be kind of devil's advocate, because I did I was actually watching an interview between Pompliano and Peter Schiff, which is really interesting because, as we know, Peter Schiff is like extremely bearish on Bitcoin. And I almost thought it was like a joke, like, because like the guy bought some a long time ago, sold it or something like that when it was super, super low, and it just went through the roof after that. So he probably, is feeling bad about himself, so he just kind of hates on it. But after listening to him for like almost an hour, I see why he's bearish. And that's something that I'm also going to be doing on this channel as well, is we're not just going to be, pumping everybody's bags and, of course, Bitcoin is positive, but at the same time, there are some negative things that I think we need to actually talk about so we can see both sides of the spectrum, so we can make a proper investment. You know what I mean? Like when it actually comes to making an investment at the right time and knowing if we should be selling and taking profits or not, and why, have actual proper reasons why. Because when you start to fill your feed on YouTube with so much positivity, as good as it is, it can kind of blind you from some potential realities that we could be facing, with Bitcoin in the future. And I think one of them that he actually did get to talk about a lot was the banks not accept, more than likely, he's predicting that the banks will not accept Bitcoin as a reserve currency. And Anthony Pompliano, he was really like, he's a huge Bitcoin advocate. This man is on the news and people keep bringing him back to the news because he is such a big advocate for Bitcoin, right? He's like right up there with Michael Saylor at this point. I mean, in terms of like his respect on what it means. But I mean, he's not actually like as good as Michael Saylor, but one notch underneath it almost at this point. But Anthony Pompliano didn't really have much to say. He kind of said like, well, why do you think that, and things like that. But what Peter Schiff ended up saying was that Bitcoin is way too volatile to ever be a reserve currency, to even have 1% of a reserve currency for a bank. It just makes absolutely no sense, because at the end of the day, the purpose of a reserve currency is to be extremely stable and liquid, right? So like at the end of the day, if something were to happen to somebody's currency in Venezuela, just like it happened with Venezuela, and the currency starts to debase, you want to be able to dive into your gold reserves and know that you can just start dumping all your gold and then just start getting a bunch of US dollars to kind of like bring back the value of your actual currency. And the whole world isn't worried like, oh no, like Venezuela's going to dump all their gold and, and then what, the price of gold's going to drop? No, there's way too much liquidity and buying power in gold for it to ever go down, even if like a whole country needs to like start selling their gold. Like it's not that big of a deal. But Bitcoin, on the other hand, I mean, if a country started dumping all of their Bitcoin reserves, like that would actually be a bit of an issue. Like, I mean, of course, right now we're at the earlier stages, so kind of keep that in mind as well too, right? Like down the line, when it comes to Bitcoin potentially being a reserve currency for countries and the banks, I'm sure Bitcoin would be a lot more liquid and a lot more stable. That's the theory, at least. But another reality that Peter Schiff was talking about was, well, if the banks aren't buying it as a reserve currency, then who's buying it, right? He's like, of course, there's a bunch of young speculators that, want to get into it because price go up. But essentially, they're just gambling. And Anthony Pompliano's, his take on that was, well, what do you think that, Larry Fink is stupid? Which is a fair point. And of course, Peter Schiff does not think Larry Fink is stupid. But on the contrary, he thinks that other people are stupid and that Larry Fink is really just, only reason he's getting involved in these ETFs in the first place is to have it open almost as like a casino, right? Like, well, someone's got to run this casino. Might as well be Larry Fink. So that's why he's getting involved. I mean, that's the theory that Peter Schiff has, is that he just wants to be the owner of the casino, right? Like, everybody kind of come on in. And he's just going to make money off of everybody's back because he knows people are stupid enough. Clearly, people are stupid enough to buy this. So he might as well run the casino, which is a fair point. And the thing that kind of worries me a little bit about this is because if you really do think about it, who is buying Bitcoin, right? Like, who is actually buying it? Of course, we have some institutions now that are getting involved, but Peter Schiff is like, his whole company revolves around a financial advisement, right? That's what it is. He's like financial advisor. He's been a broker for for 30 years or something, right? And so his whole company is based around that. Now, he says, in his opinion, that no financial advisors will ever be green lighted to offer 1% allocation or any percent allocation of any of their clients' money towards Bitcoin. And that was really interesting to hear because honestly, like, I think everybody, all Bitcoiners and people in crypto are kind of banking on that. And his reasoning being was because it's just way too volatile and it's not liquid enough. So why would anybody ever consider putting, having 1% in there, even if it's like a hedge against the market? Like, if you need a hedge, you buy gold and silver, and specifically gold. And a hedge to buy something that's extremely volatile and not very liquid isn't a good reality. And if the money's not coming from there, and it's not going to come from any reserve currencies, there is that little thing in the back of my head that thinks, well, what if it is a bit of a bubble like Peter Schiff says? Not a bubble like we're going to zero one day or anything like that, or even 1,000 or 10,000. Like, I don't even think we'll go back there. But what if it's not actually as big as we think and it does deflate? Like one day we just kind of see it just start hovering around 15 to 25K, and that's just kind of like where it died out to. I don't know, like, I don't want to be negative. I'm just being devil's advocate here, but it is something to think about because I actively right now can't think of who those buyers would be. Like Peter Schiff is saying, there we have the speculators and we have some of the institutions that are getting involved that want to make some money off of it, which is nice. Will they continue to keep coming in? I don't know. I think what I'm going to have to do, and I encourage everybody else to do, I think we need to go back and listen to a little bit more Michael Saylor, because if Michael Saylor was sitting in front of Peter Schiff, I think it'd be a different story. But anyways, guys, just kind of want to be devil's advocate and, put the other side on there for you. I know that everybody wants to make the right investment decisions, so I want to make sure that everybody has the correct info out there. And I will be linking this interview as well to this channel. Okay, everybody, remember, not financial advice, but financial education. Have a good one.